Happy days. How's he done that then?
Oh, at Beavers, he was on a climbing frame and he jumped off and landed on it. So, but we didn't know for 4 days because he was using it and writing and everything. But when he went to ride his bike and grip, he sort of flinched and was a bit like ah. And so we took him to A&E and they're like, yeah, he broke it 4 days ago.
Was it like his radius or ulnar, was it?
Yeah, it's the main bone, but it's like because he's obviously still small and his bones haven't formed. It's like a buckle fracture, so there's just a big bump on it.
Got you.
So, oh God, hang on a minute. This might be school phoning me. Can I just?
That's okay.
I'm just going to take this for a minute. Okay, bye.
No problem. I'll just mute Steph just so there's no background noise there. It's all kicking off, isn't it?
It is, and I haven't registered for any of this because I've been kicking off. I've been taking my husband. He's gone to Spain, and
well, after today, we're going to drag you through getting back on track. Don't you worry.
I know. Actually, to be honest, I've not really lost since the first challenge. I mean, obviously, I've always been good with fruit and veg, so that's never been a challenge. And my drinking has improved considerably.
That's
probably
brilliant.
I don't always achieve, but I mean, already today I've done 4,900 steps. So I normally get fairly near it, but yeah I really need to reset. My problem is the carbs. That's the thing I've got to reset, or lack of reducing my carbs again, Shane. That's the thing I've lost. I'm intermittent, I think would be the honest answer.
That's absolutely
some days I'm brilliant. Some days I'm brilliant and some days I'm not.
Yeah. It makes absolute sense. And honestly, this is all part of the process. So, you know, I would absolutely love it if everybody that turns up live on these presentations and listens to the recording is just 10 out of 10 all the time. Like, you know, how amazing would that be? I mean, I'm a nutritionist and I'm not perfect all the time. Like, Steph's not perfect. Well, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of Steph, but I'm assuming that she's not superhuman and perfect all the time. She's got hospital visits and everything sort out day to day by the sounds of it at the minute. So everybody's got these challenges that go on all the time. Like you said, you know, your husband's away, and obviously your routine might be a little bit out of whack, a little bit, and you know, there's people that I work with that have, stupid as it sounds, just even day to day stuff, like they've got really bad hay fever and they're so drained and feeling rubbish, and it's been really nice weather, and that's affected their training. But then it started raining, and the rain has made them feel better because there's less, you know, obviously inflammation and so on. So it, like, the weirdest and most wonderful things can affect your ability to stay consistent. So it's not about, again, this you've actually read my mind. So if you just look out for the final slide on this presentation, you'll see what I mean. But you know, when it comes to winning and making progress, like, it's not really about perfection. It's about consistency with just gradually improving those levels. That's the main factors. So I tell you what we'll do. We'll jump straight in. So if anybody else joins us, they're more than welcome to just jump in as we go through. So I'm going to present to you for probably 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat at the end if you need anything, and we'll go from there. So as we know, we're a few days into the challenge so far. So we've got the steps, we've got the hydration, and we've got the 5 a day. I've no idea why I didn't read it out in the order that it's on the slide there. But anyway, so we've got steps, 5 a day, and hydration. And what I wanted to do today was just sort of clarify the reasons why that we're really highlighting these three things, because I think with the challenges, it's a tricky one, because what I'd like to do is make it, you know, as a nutrition nerd, I'd love to make it all bells and whistles and sparkly objects and like make it super complex and all of this stuff. But the problem we've got is, like we said earlier on, with everybody's day-to-day lives and commitments and things like that. In actual fact, simplicity is the easiest, or the most effective method for progress. so that if it's, if it's super complex, people just aren't going to adhere to things in and around everything else that they've got going off. However, just because it's simple, sometimes we can take a look and go, like, steps 5 a day in hydration, like, really? That's like, it's probably a bit too simplistic, really. And what I want to do today was go into some of the key points. And again, just bear in mind, this is a massive summary, like a summary of the key points. Like, just for steps or just for 5 a day, especially things like 5 a day, that's a really complex topic. I could do like a 4 hour presentation just on 5 a day. So we're just skimming over all the key benefits for the purpose of the challenge. So let's jump straight in, if it'll allow me to go to the next slide. There we go. Okay. So the first sort of section that we're focused on is the step side of things. So for the purpose of weight loss and getting your results and general health and things like that, when it comes to the day-to-day levels of physical activity, so it could, we say steps, and obviously the first thing you think about is getting out for a walk. However, it can be a combination of getting out for a walk and other things as well. It doesn't necessarily just have to be, walking around the local park or walking down the streets or whatever and tracking your steps alone, and that's it. It can also be other things. For example, in lots of research, things like housework and things like that have been factored in as well. So, if you can get out for a 30, 45-minute walk, let's say, absolutely brilliant, amazing. But there's 24 hours in the day. So what are we going to be doing? If we can sort of even just raise slightly the amount of movement that we do the other 23 and a half hours, I know, of course, we're going to be asleep for 6, 7, 8 of those hours as well, of course. But the other hours, that's a big chunk of hours. So there's lots of other ways that we can top up those day-to-day levels of physical activity. So just to put it into perspective, especially if you're on a weight loss journey, the exercise side of things is ridiculously important. It does lots and lots of things that focus on nutrition alone cannot do. So things like muscle growth, strength improvements, muscle retention, things like that. The exercise side of things has to either happen in conjunction with your nutrition, or it just does it on its own. Whereas, it doesn't matter how much protein you're going to be consuming. If you're not hitting the weights and doing some resistance training, you can't just be hitting your protein intakes and that's it, for example. So when it comes to the exercise side of things, obviously for weight loss purposes, it in actual fact isn't one of the most robust contributing factors to your weight loss results. It certainly contributes, don't get me wrong. So let's say if you do 3 sessions a week, maybe 4 sessions a week, you might be looking at 3, 4, 500 calories burnt in each session potentially. It varies widely for many, many different reasons, depending on sex, depending on training history, depending on the session itself, the duration of the session, the intensity of the session. So we can't just give one blanket, oh, you will burn 300 calories in that session, for example, but it just gives you a little bit of an indication. However, when we're walking, let's say, for example, if you're relatively sedentary, we can't really go, okay, we need to up the calorie burn, so train 6, 7 times a week. We can't really do that. We can't add in more training because it's going to lead to fatigue. It could lead to other things like chronic fatigue. You're not allowing your body to recover in between sessions. So from an exercise perspective, what do we do there? So if you're going to ramp up your steps, like in the challenge, you could be burning an additional 300 to 500 calories just by walking. And the other thing is as well, it's easy to sustain because it's very low intensity or maybe moderate intensity exercise. So you could literally just go, I'm gonna, let's say for example, one of my things this year was to read more. So I want to read every day. Whereas when it's nice weather, I put my headphones in and go for a walk whilst I've got my audiobook on. So I'm actually ticking like 10 boxes and it doesn't feel as though I've actually done anything different because I'm going to set that 20, 30, 40 minutes aside anyway to read the book. So I may as well just be moving a bit. And I'm fortunate enough just to live next to the canal. I live in a place called Chesterfield and there's like a really nice canal walk. So Amazing. I'm killing 10 birds with one stone there. But the reality is, I might be burning between 300 and 500 calories by generating that additional 10,000 steps each day. So if we map that across the week, and let's say I do that 7 days a week, and just bear in mind that I'm not any more exhausted, I'm not any more tired. It's just a general walk. We're not, trying to power walk up Everest or something like that. What we're looking to do is just stay consistent with that. So that could potentially add an extra, in and around about 3,000 to 3,500 calories per week. So in weight loss terms, that in itself can generate an additional 1 pound of body fat lost every week. So for, even if you don't do anything else on the rest of this presentation, if your weight loss is if your results are weight loss driven, weight loss based, something like this can dramatically transform your results. So of course, a lot of people are even if you don't go for walks, you're probably going to be getting 3, 4, 5,000 steps a day anyway. Just doing the dishes, walking up and down the stairs, dropping the kids off at school, picking them back up, making tea, walking to the dishwasher, and all that sort of stuff. To filling the car with petrol, nipping to the shops, whatever it is that you need to do, you're probably going to be getting some steps in that way anyway. So just bear in mind, obviously, this is an additional 10,000 steps. But again, just for diagram purposes, it just shows you how powerful these tips can be and the reason why we share these with you. So like we said, it's easy to sustain. So if let's say you could work out an extra 3 or 4 times a week on top of what you're doing now, it's and it wasn't going to cause significant challenges, it's going to be really difficult to sustain 7 training sessions a week. The amount of energy and the amount of effort that takes, and you've got to go through those sessions, it's going to be really draining. So also it helps psychologically. So if you're helped and again, this is in many areas, I've just highlighted one of the key ones. So psychologically, it's going to help you. So plenty of research, copious amounts of research shows how it helps in reduction in stress levels. And if you're lowering your stress levels, it's also going to lower the likelihood of nutrition related things that go along with that. So let's say, for example, emotional eating. So if your stress reduces, so too can your emotional eating impulses. So it helps in, again, if we're eradicating those peaks in calorie intakes potentially as well throughout the week. Also, you have a lower hunger response. So if we take a look at the hunger response in low intensity activity, like getting out on a 30-minute walk 7 days a week versus going and doing a workout, your hunger response, and by the way, this isn't across the board, this is not representative of everybody. So for me personally, I don't get hungry after I work out. For whatever reason, it just doesn't really have that effect. On other people, it does. So, it's interesting that if you're going to be adding in the walks, the hunger response after that walk is actually going to be lower in comparison to going and doing a workout, for example. So obviously on the 5 a day side of things, really important. Just remember that I've put plus, so 5 a day plus. I'm so sorry to sort of metaphorically crack the whip here, I suppose, but we have to understand that the general population needs 5 portions of fruit and veg per day. And again, that's debatable in itself. But let's say 5 a day is absolutely fine, no issues there whatsoever. Don't forget that you're training on top of that. Your muscles have got to grow and repair. Your body needs additional calorie requirements. It needed, therefore, additional micronutrient requirements to facilitate all of these additional processes that are going on top of a normal general population person's day to day. So that's why I'm always trying to, gently nudge you, let's say, towards 5 a day plus. So if you can get 6 a day, amazing. 7 a day, happy days, love it. So one of the reasons why, again, on a weight loss side of things, having higher plant-based intakes that contributes 5 a day, so things like nuts and seeds and berries, fruit, vegetables, all of these are generally speaking much lower in calorie density than other areas of nutrition that are maybe highly processed, for example. So just in very simplistic terms, if I asked you to order a takeaway pizza tonight and I said your target is to consume 3,000 calories in that one meal, that would be crazy easy. Like you just order a stuffed crust meat feast with a let's say that garlic mayo dip and like a glass of, I don't know, Coke or something, and then maybe a little side of wings and cheesy garlic bread. All of that stuff.
Oh, you make me hungry.
So, so sorry. It's not for that purpose, I promise. But if I asked you to do that, and I gave you the target of hitting 3,000 plus calories, you could do that literally in one meal. It's really easy to do. However, if I gave you the challenge, excuse me, if I gave you the challenge of something like this chicken and egg ramen on the left hand side, you can see here, or even just if we made it even more simple, so you can have whatever sort of water, low calorie based fruit and veg snacks you like, so things like cucumber, let's say grapes, berries, and you've got to hit 3,000 calories in one meal. Honestly, it's getting on to be impossible. It really is. You wouldn't get anywhere remotely close to that. You might get up to, I don't know, again off the top of my head, let's say 6, 7, 800 calories if you really tried. You're nowhere near 3,000 calories. So because of the low calorie density, you can therefore make it more difficult for yourself to over consume on calories each day if a larger proportion of your intakes are from the 5 a day section. This also simultaneously means that if you're one of those people that needs larger portions, here you go. There's your golden ticket. If you can have meals like this on the left-hand side, so we've got some noodles, so it's carb based. We've got some bean sprouts, we've got chicken, we've got some veg in there, we've got some eggs. For me personally, I like to put a little bit more veg in than something like this. It might be spring onions and garlic and ginger, and like, let's say maybe some mange two or something like that. Really pad it out on the 5 a day side of things. You can have a massive portion of that, huge portion. You're not getting anywhere near any massive calorie peaks. Now we've also got the fiber and the calorie displacement that happens as a result of that. So this is a really overlooked area. So the fiber side of things keeps you fuller for longer. It makes you feel fuller quicker. But not only that, it takes up some room within those food sources that you're consuming. And because those fiber areas of the plant-based sources that you're consuming aren't digestible, so the non-digestible fiber, or sorry, non-water soluble fiber in particular, this, because it goes through your digestive system untouched, you're now displacing some of those calories because it goes through your whole digestive system without being utilized or accessed, or for choice of better words. So again, you might be displacing a good chunk of calories each week just by having higher fiber intakes. And on a side note, again, I know health's boring, we want results, but again, I just thought it'd be a little bullet point to include that it literally reduces all-cause mortality across the whole of the population. So that basically means that all risk factors for death, sorry to be brutal about it, but it's a genuinely good reason to be hitting 5-6 portions of fruit and veg per day. And this is a relatively recent publication as well. So again, relatively good reasons for results and literally living longer. So happy days, right? And then just to touch on the hydration as well. So it can assist with things like satiety, so just that feeling of fullness. But some of the key factors that people overlook is just, when you're dehydrated, you just feel lethargic, low energy, low mood, a bit rubbish. Like, it's hard to focus. You're at work thinking, oh my God, I can't wait until lunch. And sometimes it's nothing to do with hunger. It's nothing to do with that side of things. What you don't realize, you just genuinely don't realize, is that you're just a bit dehydrated. So if you manage your hydration practices, you can have that reduction in in risk of low mood. And also, if you're feeling a bit rubbish, what's one of the things you're likely to want to do when you're feeling low on energy? You're going to go, do you know what? I need a little bit of a pick me up here. So it gets to mid-afternoon and gets to 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You've had your lunch and you still feel a bit low on energy. You might be tempted to reach out for that pack of crisps or chocolate bar or biscuit with your cup of tea or whatever it is. And again, what we need to do is just try and bolster all areas of your nutrition as much as possible, so that all of these contributions, just staying hydrated, can reduce the likelihood throughout every single day of the week, even if it's just a little bit. But over the course of the month, that's a big snowball that builds up there. There's maybe 10, 20, 30 different occasions by staying hydrated, you've avoided sections, if that makes sense. So hopefully that all makes sense. Oh, sorry, Sarah, I promised to share with you the final slide. I forgot there was another slide. There we go. This is where Sarah brought in her psychicness. So this is we touched upon this right at the beginning, and what I wanted to highlight is that consistency is far more important for your results than perfection. So again, of course, there's a handful of different areas we're working on right now. So obviously there's the steps, there's the 5 a day and the hydration. But if you can tick those boxes 10 out of 10 days, throughout the challenge, and you can do that every day forever, absolutely amazing. Of course, we're not going to discourage you to do that. But we've also got to factor in that we're human beings, and there's other things that go on, from illness to injury to the kids and having to do all that stuff. Anyway, we'll not dwell on that. And lots of other things, anything from, the car needing an MOT, and that takes a chunk of time out. So you're more sedentary because you're waiting around for the car to be sorted, and whereas you would have gone on a walk in that time. And there's a million and one things that can get in your way. So
it's funny you mentioned car though, because James's truck is in the garage and he's got my car at the moment. He's away on a course for a couple of days. And yesterday when I got home, I did my run and I got home and I wanted to do some baking for the kids for their lunchbox, and I needed some eggs, and I would have easily just got in my car, driven to the shop, but I walked to the shop to get some eggs, and then my local shop didn't have any. So then I had to walk further to the next shop to get some. And I said to myself, actually, I need to make more of an effort of just walking to the local shop instead of relying on my car, because that bumped up my steps by a good couple of thousand.
Yeah.
By the time I did the full circle and got back, and then I mowed the lawn, so I was literally like happy days, as you say. So
yeah, definitely. Well, I hope it all gets sorted soon anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
You have had multiple different types of breakages.
Oh yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, I tell you.
So hopefully that all makes sense. So is there anything that's a challenge for you at the moment, Sarah? Any comments that you wanted to make on the presentations? Obviously, Steph, if there's anything that you wanted to add, no problem whatsoever. I just wanted to make sure that we, like we said, go through the reasons as to why we're sharing these very, very simple habit-based suggestions with everybody. And on the face of it, you just think that's so simple, surely not. And then you go into the science and the numerical side for the things like the calorie burn and how that adds up over the week, and you think, my God, I could literally earn an extra £1 per week loss here just by doing that one thing without the other slides. And then you go, okay, well, what if I stay hydrated and have 6 portions as well on top of that? And then your weight loss and energy levels and ability to recover and get results in a million and one other areas just becomes so much more just seamless and easy to achieve. But I think, the penny drops really when we understand the why behind the suggestions, if that makes sense. So,
sorry, I was going to say my issue is, like for instance, we've got, and Stephanie knows, lots of children's birthdays, haven't we, Stephanie, at the moment, with lots of cakes and things like that happening. And I just wanted to ask you, Shane, so what I tend to do is if I've got people coming round or I'm going somewhere and I know that there's going to be a bit of chocolate cake and what have you, I tend to skip breakfast so that I can save up my calories so I can do that and not be a complete party pooper all the time.
Of course, yeah.
But is that a good thing to do, or is it better still to keep still have my fruit and yogurt in the morning, and then just have smaller portions. I mean, that's the sort of thing that I struggle with sometimes. I don't get hungry. I will say I don't get hungry if, like, I haven't had breakfast today and I've been to the gym and I've done a workout, and I'm actually going to have my breakfast in a minute after this. And I'm not drinking coffee. I'm drinking lots of lemon water at the moment, fresh lemon. So is there anything around meal skipping, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so there is. So the biggest piece of advice in response is that whatever works for you personally as an individual is the best thing. Okay. The reason why I say that is because I could show you research on people who do intermittent fasting, for example. So I basically do personally the same as what you're doing, Sarah. I'm not a massive breakfast person at all. If I have breakfast, I'll either have like one of those yogurt protein pouch things. And honestly, I'm forcing it in because I'm not hungry in the mornings at all. No. I'll have a cup of tea, maybe a glass of juice. Sometimes I don't have anything at all, just like a glass of water, and that's it because I'm just forcing it, basically. I'm not hungry. So my sort of feeding window would be generally between sort of 12 and say 7 p.m. in around that. So that's in essence a form of intermittent fasting. I can give you research on how successful people have been with strategies like that. I can also give you research about people who skip breakfast are more likely to be more hungry throughout the day and therefore overconsume for the rest of the day. So again, confusingly, you've got two pieces of research that are completely at odds with each other. So then, you pull your hair out and go, what's the bloody answer then? That sort of thing. So the main thing is that if it works for you, Sarah, that's the main thing. So the only downside that would be sort of irrefutable, I suppose, would be that if you're replacing a nutrient-dense meal that's say 500 calories or something like that with a couple of portions of fruit and or veg or just veg as part of that, and there's loads of fiber and micronutrients going in, and you're replacing that with some chocolate gatto or something, or like a birthday cake or something with not very many nutrients going in, you are missing out on those micronutrients. The micronutrient intakes have definitely dipped on that day. So for me personally, I like to make sure that I've got every loose end tied up at the end of every day. So that's important to me. However, other people do it mentally over the course of the week. So if you look at things and take a step back and look at things over the course of the week and go, okay, so I'm going to be consuming maybe 12, 13,000 calories over the week, not a day, obviously, but over the week. 500 of those calories are going to be coming from that slice of cake. And then you go, well, what percentage of that is my intakes for the week? And you go, oh, wow, it's like less than 1% of my intakes. There is an argument to go, well, who cares? Like, seriously, it's just a bit of cake. And then you can do it that way as well. So again, what I'm trying to do here is just lay out a few different tools to pick up for you.
I've definitely learned that's been a bit of an eye-opener for me. Look at it over a week. Even when the kids were little, when you used to say, oh my God, the kids haven't eaten much today, what am I going to do? And the nurse used to say, look at it over a week. They might eat loads on a Tuesday and not so much on a Wednesday. I would eat my breakfast and then have my bit of cake and be like, okay, well, tomorrow maybe I'll just rein it in by a few extra 100 calories.
Absolutely. And I had the same with the kids as well, by the way, with the evening meals. So I'll put like 2 hours into slow cooking some spaghetti bolognese with a million different types of veg in it and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, they love this meal. So I can't wait for them to get in from. And it's like they've absolutely smashed their breakfast. They've absolutely devoured their lunch, and they've got in and they're just not as hungry. And then they get to my meal that I want them to have. And they're like, I'll have a few spoonfuls, Daddy. I'm not bothered. And then they're just playing football in the garden or something. I'm like, oh my God. But like you said, the reasonable thing to do is to take a step back, look at over the across the week, and you go, yeah, but like 3/4 of the time they're eating everything fine. So just like,
yeah, definitely.
But for the purpose of your response, Sarah, is whatever works best for you from those different options is the main thing. The only thing I'd watch out for is if there's, if you've got like 5 kids' birthdays coming up over the next 10 days or something, That's going to be it's going to be tricky, you know. We're going to have to be doing some serious buffering, you know. Anything else to add, guys, before we shoot? Hey, how's it going? You're muted, Steph. I can't hear you.
No, that's it from me. That's all good. Thank you.
Fantastic. No problem whatsoever. Well, thank you, obviously, for joining us live. The other thing is just a massive thank you to everybody catching up on the recording as well. I would love everybody to be on live all the time, but you know, just like the classes and things like that, certain classes wait for different people, certain classes don't, and so the live element is less important in comparison to catching up with the recording. That's the main thing. So again, just to reiterate, going forward with any of the workshops, just you can even put me on 1.2 or 1.5 speed and catch up that way if you want, to get it shoehorned into the calendar. So thanks everybody. Thanks ever so much, everybody. Looking forward to supporting you for the rest of the challenge. Looking forward to seeing how you get on. And as always, I'm only a mess away if you need me in the groups.
Thanks, Shane.
You're very welcome. Take care for now, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.